We all make predictions, right? Will this project I'm working on finish on time? Is that stock going to go up or down? But how often are we actually right? And what about all those experts we see on the news? Well, today, we're going to dive into Superforecasting by Philip Tetlock and Dan Gardner to try and uncover the secrets of getting it right way more often.
So, right off the bat, the book hits you with this kind of shocking idea. After tons of research, it turns out that a lot of so-called experts are no better at predicting things than random chance. You've probably heard that old joke about dart-throwing chimpanzees, right? Well, it turns out it's less of a joke and more of a pretty accurate description of the problem.
And that, of course, raises a massive question. I mean, if the very people we're supposed to trust are basically just guessing, is it even possible to be good at forecasting? Or is the future just completely unknowable?
To answer that, first we've got to understand something called the expert illusion and figure out why we keep falling for predictions that, well, just don't work out.
Think about it for a second. We are absolutely wired to look for certainty. The world is chaotic, we're facing all these complicated questions about the economy or geopolitics, and we just crave a clear, simple answer. So what do? We turn on the TV, and there they are, these super confident pundits promising us they have it all figured out. But here's the catch, right? Their predictions are often designed to be impossible to prove wrong. They use really vague language, like things could get worse, or a crisis is on the horizon. They never give you a clear time frame. And the most important part, there's pretty much zero accountability. We all remember the one time they got it right, but we totally forget the 9 times they were wrong. Their entire platform is built on how confident they sound, not on an actual measurable track record.
Okay, but the story doesn't just end there with doom and gloom. Because while all those pundits were making a lot of noise, a really quiet group of predictors was starting to emerge. So let's meet the superforecasters.
This all came out of a truly groundbreaking study called the Good Judgment Project. It was this huge, government-sponsored forecasting tournament. And they got thousands of just ordinary people, not famous experts, and asked them to predict really complex global events. The whole thing was rigorously scored and designed to find out one thing: what actually works.
And the results? They were absolutely stunning. Out of thousands and thousands of people, a tiny little fraction, just 2%, were consistently, unbelievably accurate. These weren't geniuses or government insiders. They were just regular folks who thought in a fundamentally different way. And they came to be known as the superforecasters. And this gets to the absolute core of their philosophy. See, superforecasting isn't about having some magic crystal ball that lets you see the future. It's about having a really powerful magnifying glass to meticulously and rigorously assess what's happening right now, in the present.
So, what's the real difference in how they operate? Well, a pundit offers these big, confident statements that are super vague, with a track record that's almost never actually checked. A superforecaster, on the other hand, thinks in probabilities. They'll say something like, there's a 70% chance of this happening. That makes the prediction precise, it makes it testable, and most importantly, it gives them a chance to learn whether they were right or wrong.
So how do these superforecasters think so differently? To explain this, Tetlock borrows this really powerful metaphor from the philosopher Isaiah Berlin. It's the tale of the fox and the hedgehog.
Okay, so first up, the hedgehog. The hedgehog, as the saying goes, knows one big thing. They've got a grand theory, a single lens they look through. Something like, free markets solve every problem, or history is all about class conflict. And they apply that one big idea to every single problem. They sound confident, they're decisive, and they're perfect for a TV soundbite.
And then you have the fox. The fox knows many little things. They're actually really skeptical of those grand theories. Instead, they pull from all kinds of different sources and ideas. They are totally comfortable with nuance, with complexity, and, this is the big one, with uncertainty.
So let's just break that down side by side. Hedgehogs simplify everything, they're super confident, and they use a top-down theory-first approach. Foxes, on the other hand, embrace complexity, they're cautious, and they work from the bottom up, driven by the actual evidence. And here's the punchline to the whole thing. In all of Tetlock's research, the foxes were consistently and significantly better forecasters. It wasn't even close.
This is all fascinating stuff, but what does it actually mean for us, right? Well, that brings us to our final section, how we can all learn to think a little bit more like a forecaster and start cultivating better judgment in our own lives.
The research really boils it all down to 4 key habits you can start practicing. First, embrace doubt. You have to actively question your own gut feelings and initial reactions. Second, think in numbers. Don't just say yes or no. Assign a probability. Are you 60% sure or more like 85%? Third, update constantly. When new information comes in, don't just dig in your heels. Be willing to adjust your forecast. And finally, and this is so important, keep score. Actually track your predictions. It's the only way you can truly learn from what you got right and what you got wrong.
And this, for me, is the most empowering idea in the entire book. Being a better forecaster is not some magical gift you're born with. It's not about having a higher IQ or some secret information. It's a disciplined, active, and open-minded way of thinking. And that is something that anyone, absolutely anyone, can learn and practice.
So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. The next time you hear an expert on the news make some big, bold prediction, are you going to ask yourself, are they certain? Or are you going to ask the much more powerful, much more insightful question, just how uncertain are they?